It was a Sunday morning, just like today, and there was a husband and a wife getting ready to go to church. And, well, the woman, she woke up, got ready, brushed her teeth, put her makeup on, ate breakfast. She was ready to go. She was about to get her coat on, and she realized, where's my husband? She goes back upstairs, and lo and behold, her husband is still sitting in bed. And she says, hey, we got to go to church. What are you doing? He says, I'm just not going today. She says, oh, really? Tell me why. He says, I'll give you 3 good reasons. Number 1, that congregation, they're really cold. And 2, nobody there likes me. And 3, I just don't feel like going. I'm not going today, and that's it. She says, okay, well, I'm going to give you 3 good reasons why you should go. Number 1, that congregation is actually quite warm. 2, well, there are some people there who like you. And 3, you're the preacher. Now get up and get Well, welcome everybody. It's so great to see some familiar faces, but unfamiliar faces as well. I need to give you a few announcements before we get going. You filled out the visitor cards, I hope. We have a VBS coming up. We're really promoting that. That's actually 3 months from today. It begins June 19th, 20th, and 21st. I believe there are registration forms available, and if not, they will be online very shortly. There's a Loyalty Day parade, and you'll see this on the flyer. This is for New Lenox. We will have a float promoting the Water of Life, which is the theme for VBS. That is May 7th after church. And yes, I mentioned the flyers with the upcoming events. Okay, thank you so much for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. It is our pleasure, and I am happy that now I don't get to be the new guy, because no one knows some of you, and that's good too. So, but in all seriousness, it is great. It is wonderful to be here. If you've ever watched the TV show American Idol, and I never watched that, there was a guy named Ryan Seacrest who was the host, and at the beginning of every episode, he would get all dramatic and dim the lights and do his little introduction. And what would he say? He would always say, "This is American Idol." Well, this, what we're going to talk about today, is a lot more important, and this is the temple of the Lord. And there will be no idols here, by the way, American or otherwise. So we began the prophet Jonah. We talked a little bit about him the last 2 weeks. We are going to take a recess from that. And all of a sudden the kids are like, recess? What, recess? We're going to recess? No, boys and girls, that just means a break, by the way. So we're taking a very quick break, a detour, if you will, from Jonah. And we're going to talk about Jeremiah. Jeremiah, what we're going to talk about today really has to do with worship. Why are we here to begin with? What is worship anyway? It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. It can be different for me than it can be for Juana. We were just singing together those beautiful hymns this morning. Well, that's certainly one kind of worship. If after service today you go out and you help someone who is less fortunate than you, I believe that also is a kind of worship. If you're just praying to God and thanking Him and praising Him for all those things that He's given you that, quite frankly, you don't deserve, well, that's worship also. Let me quote Pastor A.W. Tozer, who once said, "Worship is to feel in your heart and express in some appropriate manner a humbling but delightful sense of admiring awe and astonished wonder, and overpowering love in the presence of that most ancient mystery, that majesty which philosophers call the first cause, but which we call our Father who art in heaven." Now, if you've heard me speak before, you know that I like to refer to the Bible as a story, because it's a story. There's a beginning, there's a middle, eventually there will be an end too. From Genesis to Revelation, you see all kinds of people, all kinds of events. Now, the names might change, But the charge, that remains the same. And just as it was with the people of Judah who Jeremiah talks to, our charge is to make God the sole object of our worship. Normally, I like to issue a challenge or a charge, if you want to call it that, toward the end of the sermon. But today, it's just so basic. I'm going to spread it out throughout. We're talking about basics. Have you ever been on a sports team or you've acted? You know it's all about basics, fundamentals. There was a head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1970s named Chuck Noll. He won 4 Super Bowls. And he said this: if you want to win, do the ordinary things better than everyone else does them, day in and day out. It's hard to argue with that. Fundamentals, basics. Sometimes you just need to strengthen your relationship with the Lord by putting Him above all else. Well, no kidding, Matt. I know that. Why are you telling me this? Well, do you put Him over every person, everything, every place, every video game? Do you put your relationship with God over every event, every one of your child's practices? Do you put your relationship with God above that? Now, be honest with yourself. What we need to do is correlate worship with the rest of our daily lives. And again, it's so simple. You do not need a preacher to come in here and tell you this. Place your hope in the Lord and make God the sole object of your worship. You know, we're constantly evolving. Anyone who's in the business world will tell you you're not standing still. If you are, well, your competitor is going to pass you. So essentially, you're moving backwards. You're retreating. Now, I talk about spiritual growth spurts. Unlike your physical growth spurts, you don't stop growing at a certain age. I mean, I've been 5'8" forever, okay? I used to teach 5th grade, and every June, the kids would go away to summer camp. And you'd say goodbye. And then you'd see them 3 months later, and they grew like 17 inches. What is that, right? Amazing. Kids have this, they just grow. But when you're an adult, you don't grow physically, but you can grow spiritually every single day. We have to move forward, and as we're going to see in a moment, Jeremiah, the prophet, spoke to a group that refused to move forward. So what I want to do, what I like to do if you're not familiar with my style, before we get into the text, and let me say, if a preacher is quoting Bible out of context, he's not doing you a favor. You have to understand exactly what we're talking about. And no, we're not doing an entire series on Jeremiah, but I do want to at least bring you up to speed so you know what we're talking about. So, who is this prophet, Jeremiah? These are 2 awesome nicknames to have, aren't they? The Weeping Prophet and the Prophet of Doom. Wow, here comes Jeremiah again. What up? Debbie Downer, right? Eliza has a term for me when I ask her to stop doing what she's doing. Do you know what that term is? It's a fun sponge. Daddy is a fun sponge because I soak out all the fun. I guess to Eliza, my daughter, I am Jeremiah. His name does mean something good. It means Yahweh exalts, or the Lord establishes. He was from the tribe of Benjamin, just like Paul, and he prophesied in Judah during the reign of Josiah. His hometown was Anathoth, which is approximately 3 miles north of Jerusalem. And he was called to serve when he started. He was about 16, maybe in his 20s. Bottom line is, he was really young. So his ministry was about 40 years, leading right up to the Babylonian captivity of the southern kingdom of Judah. Now, he warned Jerusalem more than once about its wickedness and what the consequences were going to be if they didn't get it together. He announced the incoming destruction of Judah's kingdom, and this led him to being beaten and humiliated. This was a man who was thrown into a cistern and left for dead. Again, not the most popular guy on the planet. But I will say this. There's always someone in your life, hopefully, that tells you things that you don't want to hear. But you do need to hear them. If you grew up in an environment where you were constantly praised and you could do no wrong and you were perfect and you were the guy who got all A's and you were the girl who was the best athlete, or maybe you were the best looking among your friends, like me, and no one ever called you on your sin, well, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, you, my friend, are in for a reality check. It's better to learn sooner than later that, oh, I'm not perfect, am I? It's all about accountability. Now, Jeremiah, he was an anguished man. He was from the region that he was talking to, and he was telling you, unlike Jonah. Now, Jonah spoke to Nineveh, and he could care less about them. This is like me. Let's say God told me last night, listen, everybody at church tomorrow is going to be destroyed. And no matter what you do, it's just going to happen. So I would tell you that, and you'd probably throw things at me and run out the door. This is what Jeremiah was up against. I mean, most people recoil at the thought of delivering bad news, right? Nobody likes confrontation or receiving tough love from a friend. But look, if you are a Christian, I pray everybody in here is, you better have thick skin. Keep that in a little bit. He was commissioned, was he? He was commissioned by God to lodge his indictment against his own people. And God even told him not to pray. In chapter 7, verse 16, God says, do not pray for this people, nor offer any plea or petition for them. Do not plead with me, for I will not listen to you. Oh, thanks, God. Much appreciated. So Jeremiah had a very interesting time. Now, as we lead to today's text, and we're going to look at Jeremiah 7, the first 11 verses in just a moment. In chapter 5 and 6, it really leads up very well. In chapter 5, this totally reminds me of Sodom, does it not? It's in the first two verses. Go up and down the streets of Jerusalem. Look around and consider. Search through her squares. And this is God talking. If you can find but one person who deals honestly and seeks the truth, I will forgive this city. Although they say, as surely as the Lord lives, they are still swearing falsely. Well, that sounds like Sodom, doesn't it? What happened in the 18th chapter of Genesis? What did Abraham constantly ask God? Can you just save Sodom? What if there's just 10 righteous people in all of Sodom? And God says, fine, I'll save them. Now, we all know that ends pretty badly. But now, 1,300 years later, God commands Jeremiah to do the same thing that Abraham had previously asked God. Let me full circle a little bit here. And then in that 14th verse, same chapter, this is what the Lord God Almighty says. Because the people have spoken these words, I will make my words in your mouth a fire. And these people, the wood it consumes. There's a reason he was thrown into a well. And then the next chapter explicitly describes the disaster that will befall people in Jerusalem. So as we complete the setup to today's text, know this. The Lord refers to his people as rejected silver because the Lord has rejected them. That's sinking. The book of Jeremiah is right between Isaiah and Lamentations, if you are looking for it. We're going to go verse by verse through the first 11 in chapter 7. God appears angry in this text. He really does. And this forces Jeremiah, again, to have thick skin. Now, before I read, remember, Jeremiah was just a messenger. You've heard the expression, don't shoot the messenger. Look, when I preach, whether it's good, bad, or anything in between, I don't want you to hear my voice. I don't want you to hear me. It's not Matt Wolf who's up here. It's God speaking through me. It has nothing to do with the preacher. It has everything to do with the message, more specifically, the gospel. So remember that. All right, let's go ahead and read those first 3 verses. This is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Stand at the gate of the Lord's house, and there proclaim this message. Hear the word of the Lord, all you people of Judah who come through these gates to worship the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Reform your ways and your actions, and I will let you live in this place. I will let you live in this place. So what do some of those words mean? By gate, it's not a legitimate gate. It's just a wall, okay, between the inner and outer courts in the temple. And also you see in verse 2, kind of ironic and cynical, all you people of Judah who come through these gates, no, they're not going, they might be going through the gates, but they're not going to worship. They've got hidden agendas. We'll get to that in a minute. But God knows. Yet, he still gives them a chance to repent. This city was about to be destroyed. Yet God was relentless. He doesn't want you to fail. God does not want anyone to go to hell. He doesn't send us there. I mean, we make that choice ourselves. He's not a mad, angry, mean God, as some people will lead you to believe. But he's also not going to knock down your door and beg you for forgiveness. And then this place, those two words, this place, in verse 3. It's used just about 30 times in Jeremiah to designate the land that God had given to them. The real key in this entire text is the next verse, 4. Do not trust in deceptive words and say, this is the temple of the Lord. This is the temple of the Lord. This is the temple of the Lord. Stop there for a second. When you come to church in the morning, do you say that 3 times? No. But look what precedes it. Do not trust in deceptive words. This is a strong statement, a strong command, and a very strong accusation. We talk about false prophets. Now, these were spoken to people. These words were spoken to people who were trusted. Unfortunately, they trusted false prophets. Now, false prophets, false teachers, we don't talk enough about them. And by the way, a teacher, when I'm teaching or someone is teaching, when they make a mistake, that does not make them a false teacher. That just makes them a teacher who made a mistake. No, false prophets are a lot worse. And we know what Satan's up to, right? We know what his intentions are. He doesn't hide them. He wants to deceive, to inveigle, to obfuscate, and so forth. He's cunning, baffling, and powerful. The American Atheist Organization, well, they completely refuse to acknowledge the existence of God. But at least they have no hidden agendas. We know exactly what they're about. But the false prophet, well, that's the dangerous one. How does Jesus refer to them? He says, they come to us in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ferocious wolves. Exactly. Now, 2 prominent writers by the name of Peter and Jude address this. They address the destructive nature of this. And here's the thing. If you're going to preach the good news, you better be equipped to explain the bad news as well. I'm not going to do that right now. But know that it's not all roses in the gospel. That's why it's been called controversial. And dare I say, scandalous. But these people the false prophets were telling the Judeans what they wanted to hear. It's no wonder they all thought Jeremiah was sick and he was nuts. Well, if 100 people are telling me one thing, I'm not going to believe the guy who's telling me the exact opposite. This is what they were up against. But per these deceptive words, they formulated the notion that there is no way God's going to destroy us because, hey, we're his chosen people and we're near the temple, so there's no way he'll destroy Jerusalem, right? Right? Think again, my friend. And yes, but your eyes do not deceive. That is a picture of our church building, or of this room. So let me look at 5 through 7 in chapter 7. If you really change your ways and your actions and deal with each other justly, if you do not oppress the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, and if you do not follow other gods to your own harm, then I will let you live in this place again, in the land I gave your ancestors forever and ever. Wow. This is a God who gives second chances. Do we agree? This is the same God in 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, will pray, will seek my face, will turn from their evil ways, then what will I do? I will hear them from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. That's what he wants you to do. That's why he gives second chance. How many chances have you gotten in your life, by the way, to turn things around? 2? 200?